Hello, everyone. This is my attempt at a spooky, scary Halloween story. I'm not going to be doing my moment of cuteness today just because I think it would be defeat the purpose to say scary things when you have cute things going. I have my own version of a thunderstorm going. Just change the thing. Sorry about that. I wrong title on. Hope everybody's doing good. You all hear me well? We're gonna jump right into spooky. Some of these are, I guess, as real as you can make it. Others are some experiences I've had that I'd like to go over. I'll hopefully scare you. I'm just trying to pull up a list of stuff so I go over everything. Alright, let's start off with the first scary story I have. Now, this one is a real life story, probably about 15 years ago. I used to work in a town called Huntington. It's on the western edge of Suffolk County. There's a lot of scary things that come out of there. First story I'm going to go over is something that I lived through. I was working as a repairman. I went door to door or place to place, business to business, wherever they needed me to go fix phone lines. Hello, Flumpy. And I was working one time in this little hamlet called Old Spring Harbor. It's an old whaling village. There's still a lot of old buildings there. It looks very rustic still. It's right on the water, and I couldn't find this one address I was looking for, so I was driving up and down, and I stopped at this one place I thought it was. It looked like an old house, but it was a business. I knocked on the door was wide open, and I decided to... No one answered. I heard people moving around. I addressed myself and said, "I'm here to fix your phone." There was no answer, but I heard a ton of dishes clattering, stuff being moved around. It sounded like they had an army of people there. So I walked into the living room, still didn't see anybody. Kept hearing in the kitchen, which was in the next room, a ton of movement, like multiple people serving dishes ready. I walked into the kitchen and there wasn't a soul in there, but as soon as I walked in there, the noise stopped completely. It was so creepy. I called again. I said, "Hello, is anybody here?" And there was nothing. At that point, the hairs on my back of my neck started sticking straight up. I got out of there so fast. I didn't care if that was the place I was supposed to be. It creeped the snot out of me. I never went back there. I found something down the street that was what I was supposed to be working on, and I never went back. I was there for a couple of hours and I saw nobody show up or come in and out, and the door stayed open the whole time. So I don't know if it was haunted or someone was playing a joke on me, but it scared the poop out of me. I still think of this, and it's been 15 years. Now, another story, there's a lot of these, on a street called Sweet Hollow Road in Huntington. Again, I worked in there a lot, so I met a lot of people going in and out of houses, people I worked with, stories. There's this one story, the woman in white. She supposedly walks the streets of Sweet Hollow Road and sometimes jumps in front of cars at the last second and scares people. Now, the area that it is very wooded, very tall trees. There's not much sunlight that comes in here. And as I found out today, there are a lot of stories on YouTube about this. But from what I worked with a coworker, he told me one night he was driving in a dark night, and all of a sudden this woman was in the middle of the road. She wasn't there a moment before, and he swerved and crashed into a ditch. Then he got out and looked all over the place, but he couldn't find any person anywhere around there. He didn't think he hit her, but he could have swore he went through her. And it was just a woman completely in white. He's not the only person to tell these stories. There's been multiple people that tell stories very similar to this. Now, there are multiple issues with Sweet Hollow Road. There's also something called Mary's Grave, where apparently another story very similar to this one was where a woman in, I think, the 1700s, or maybe a little before, probably the 1700s, um, he was involved in some type of slaughter at a school. And apparently she wasn't the one who did it, but she was involved in it. And she apparently haunts the streets still, where she goes around and jumps at people, very similar to the woman in white. Like I said, there's a lot of paranormal events going on in that area. There's also a road less than a mile away called Mount Misery Road. I've been there before. Mount Misery Road is very well titled. It's a very hilly road, very narrow, and every time I've been over there, it's been nothing but a nightmare. Nothing works right, stuff will work one moment, then it'll go out, lights will flash on and off, and it's again a very dark area because it's very wooded. Now, a lot of these legends go hand in hand between Sweet Hollow Road and Mount Misery. There's also the rumor, the legend of the police officer who was shot over there while trying to do a traffic stop. They said that you may get pulled over on Sweet Hollow Road by a police officer now, but when he turns away to walk back to his car, the back of his skull is missing from where he was shot. He still haunts the area, pulling people over, doing his job. And then he'll just vanish. I've heard that one a couple of times, but I had forgotten about that one. I've thankfully never seen that one. The only ghost experience I've had in that whole area was, like I said, in that restaurant that sounded like it was a full catering hall and there wasn't a soul in there when I walked through the door. There's also the story of a school bus that went off the road on the overpass that Sweet Hollow goes under, something called the Northern State Parkway. Apparently there's been sightings of children in white, complete white, like ghost color white, roaming the streets at night, just wandering up and down the road. Every time someone tries to get close, they just disappear. Excuse me, so many breaks. I'm a little dry today. But from what I was doing the research today, a lot of these stories I had heard of. I never heard of certain versions of them, but apparently YouTube is filled with lots of spooky things. Hope you enjoy the screen I put up. I was going to just do a full screen of me, but with the darkness, my camera was making it too bright, so I wanted something to make it a little more spooky. So I have a candle set up. They're scattered throughout the room. I shut off my LEDs today. Wanted a spooky effect. I hope it's working. I hope my storytelling is getting better. I'm just trying to see another story. Alright, this one is going to go a little bit with what yesterday's stream was. At Six Flags, there's a ride called the Jersey Devil. Also, a team in Jersey called the Devils. And for years I didn't know about this, but apparently there's a legend in the Pine Barrens in southern Jersey that a creature with hooved feet, goat legs, and a goat head, and almost bat wings, I believe, roams the area. Let me read the exact thing what I found. The legend of the Jersey Devil is a folklore tale that originates from the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. According to legend, the Jersey Devil is a creature with hooves, a goat-like head, bat-like wings, and a forked tail. It is said to be the 13th child of a woman named Mother Leeds, who cursed her unborn child. The creature is believed to roam the Pine Barrens, causing various forms of mischief, terrorizing locals. The legend has been passed down for centuries with numerous reports, sightings, and stories about encounters with the Jersey Devil. While the existence of the Jersey Devil remains purely a legend, it has become an iconic part of New Jersey folklore and has inspired various books, movies, and other forms of popular culture. I've honestly never seen a movie or read a book about it. It does sound great because I know that the Pine Barrens, if you don't know, is a very, as you can tell, it's a forest of pines. But it's very dense. I watched a video on that earlier, and there's nothing really there, so it's completely pitch black. That's got to be creepy for anybody who's working there. Walking at night, I wouldn't want to walk there, trust me. Um, but it's something that is very creepy, and it's a cool little legend. I like hearing about all these things. Today was a fun day. It was the first time all season that I felt like it was close to Halloween. With all these stories and YouTube videos I was watching trying to research all these things. Now, here's another one from my own. This one was very creepy. Had me running out of my own bedroom like I was on fire. One day when I was probably about 8 or 9, I was in my room. Everybody else in the house was outside doing some type of work. And I had a very unique shaped closet. It was something from the 80s. It was like 2 full door lengths wide. It was very narrow, so you really could only just fit like clothes in there and a few toys on the bottom. And I was going through my toys looking for something to play with to bring outside because my friends were outside. Um, as I was pulling through all the toys, I started hearing a growling noise from inside the closet. Now, at the time, I didn't have. You could slide one door to the other one, so it was pretty wide open. It wasn't like a small thing. It was probably about 8 feet long or wide. So each door was about 4 feet wide. So when you had it open, you had a good chunk of the closet opened. And I just heard, and I ran out of that room so fast. I didn't care about my toys. I went back in later with someone else to check everything. There was nothing in there. Only thing I hope it was some type of toy sliding and rubbing on something, because it was pretty packed on the bottom. But it scared the snot out of me. I still remember it to this day, and that's many, many years ago. That was a very scary experience. I had a few scary ones from my childhood. I'll tell you more in a second. Now, another one that why did the internet just drop off? Fulcrum, did I disappear for a little bit? Alright, it seems to be back. I went down to 0 kilobytes a second, which made me think I cut out for a second. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was watching it. I went from green to red, and usually when it goes down to red, I have a little bit, but I had 0. Alright, is everything back up now? Very weird that this thing's doing this again. Oh well, let me get back into the story. I'll keep an eye on the things, and if I notice it goes back down to 0, I'll shut it. I'll stop talking for a minute. All right, this one is a famous one. I think there's been two movies made about this. Now, when I was working in the area, I worked on this street before, and at first I didn't know I was on the street because they changed the name of it with good reason, because there was a lot of tourists going there, driving the people that live there crazy. Something called the Amityville Horror House. I'm going to read off what I have down here. Amityville Horror House is a famous haunted house legend and a series of books and movies based on paranormal events that occurred in a house in Amityville in the 1970s. Now, like I said, I was on this street before and I saw the house. It looked like a regular house to me. The story begins in 1974 when Ronald Defoe Jr. murdered 6 members of his family in the house. A year later, the Lutz family moved into the same house but claimed to experience a series of terrifying paranormal activities, including strange noises, unexplained odors, and apparitions. They reported that the house was haunted, and their experiences became the basis for the book The Amityville Horror. The book detailed their alleged experiences, which included the presence of malevolent. Let's try this before I get more tongue-tied. Malvol. We'll go with evil spirits because I can't say that word. Levitating objects, and even possession. The story captivated the public's imagination and led to numerous sequels, documentaries, and movies, including the 1979 film, which further popularized the legend. Despite the popularity of the Amityville Horror story, many have questioned the authenticity of the Lutz family's claim. Some believe it to be a hoax. Investigations and lawsuits has added to the controversy surrounding the tale. Amityville Horror remains a well-known and debated case in the realm of paranormal and haunted house legends. Now, I've been to a lot of places, like I said, and I've gotten creepy feelings over a ton of different places. The one in Cold Spring Harbor, Mount Misery Road, I definitely felt like something was spooky there. When I was on Amityville, whatever, I don't remember what the street was called, but I didn't feel anything. Like, I wouldn't have known had someone not told me that's where it happened. So, not saying I am the be all end all of paranormal, but I do tend to get a little freaked out when I'm in areas, even if I don't know they're haunted. Like Mount Misery Road, I had no clue was haunted till after I was there. And like I said, the hair was standing up on the back of my neck. What was funny though was one of the videos I was watching about Sweet Hollow Road. There was a howl in the background, and immediately the guy on the camera. This was a. I wish I would remember what series it was, but he claims, "Oh, it's just wolves." I sat there and said, "There are no wolves on Long Island." So I don't know if that person was kind of using props to make noises. That made me giggle a little. Sometimes these people add stuff to try to make it even more creepy. Let us go back to Sweet Hollow Road because that just reminded me of a story I just heard about. Part of it. I knew most of it before, but this part I just heard about today. Apparently, if you sit under the overpass and shut your car off and put it in neutral, something will push your car uphill while it's in neutral and push it uphill past the overpass. Now, from a couple of the YouTube videos I watched earlier, they said that some people put baby powder on the back of their car, on the bumper and on the trunk. They said when they come out after they put the car back in park, there are handprints on the back of the car, but there's been nobody there. So they say that's the spirits pushing the car out of harm's way. Now, if you haven't ever seen it, it's an old bridge, an old overpass. And it is very creepy. It definitely looks like something out of a horror show. There are other legends that I heard there. I really don't want to talk about them. They're kind of gruesome, and I really don't want to get, I guess, very graphic in these stories. I kind of like these other ones a little better. Hold on, let me find the other one I was looking for. Where did I put that? All right. Let's go into this one. This one is pretty popularized now with the TV show. But the Legends of the Skinwalkers. Now, I've seen a couple of podcasts about this. I've listened to some stories and other podcasts. Apparently, you're not supposed to say the word Skinwalker. Apparently, it's like a curse, almost like saying Voldemort in Harry Potter series. Um, you don't know the Skinwalkers is legend is rooted in the Navajo and other indigenous American cultures, particularly in the southwestern United States. Um, it involves Native Americans who are believed to be malvet. I can't say this word for the life of me. I'm gonna have to practice this word. Evil witches and shamans with the ability to transform into animals, allowing them to assume the appearance of various creatures such as wolves, coyotes, and birds. The transformation is said to be achieved through a dark and forbidden ritual. Skinwalkers are feared because they are thought to use their shape-shifting abilities to harm others, often causing sickness, misfortune, or death. They are believed to be able to control and manipulate others. They are associated with a sense of evil, and we're not going to say that word because I can't say it. It's essential to note that the discussion of skinwalkers is very sensitive to people that live in that area. Like I said, they take this very serious. I've watched the show Skinwalker Ranch. It's one of my favorites, and there's definitely some spooky stuff going on out there. Um, would not want to be out there at night. I hear people go hunting for these things. I don't think I'd be brave enough to go do that. I like reading about these stories from my cell phone, watching YouTube videos. Even the videos I was watching today, I don't know if they were just very good actors that were doing this, but they were even saying the areas they were searching were very creepy. I'm going to try another one that I had. Just let me look up the term real fast, because I don't want to get this wrong. 1 second. That's what I thought it was. All right. This is another spooky story from myself. I used to suffer from sleep paralysis. Now, if anybody doesn't know what that is, that's where you basically your brain wakes up before your body wakes up. I don't really suffer from much of it anymore, and honestly, I didn't even think it was a thing until I watched the Haunting of Hill House, and I saw that they were talking about that. I literally just thought it was nightmares I used to have. But when I was young, I used to wake up, or I thought wake up. I could have swore they were nightmares, but my brain would wake up, and I wouldn't be able to move at all, and I'd be like trying to make noise or do anything to move. And a couple of times when I did this, I could have sworn there was something sitting on my head, and it was watching me. I know from watching the TV show on Netflix that sometimes that does occur where you have little illusions, but when you're a young child and You wake up. Yes. It's kind of like when you're. This is what the term says. Sleep paralysis. It occurs when part of the brain is awake, but the part controlling your body are still asleep. So when you try to move, you're unable to for several seconds or even a few minutes. Episodes could be broken by either waking up fully or falling back to sleep. Now, like I said, I used to have this a lot more as a child. I've only had a few issues as an adult. Usually it involves waking up from a dream where I was suffocating. And when I wake up, I can't move and I feel like I'm tied up. It almost feels like the sheets are wrapped around you 2 or 3 times and you're sleeping on the one end where you can't move and you can't breathe. Very frightening. But when I was a child, I used to have, I guess, my brain was still partially asleep, I would have nightmares, and there would be almost like a gremlin sitting on my head, and it would be talking to me, taunting me. And I'd wake up thinking, wow, that was a scary nightmare, which was partially true. But when you're a little kid, they're terrifying. Now, I really don't like scary movies, especially gory movies. I do like scary, suspenseful things. I tend to hide a lot when I'm watching them. I'll hide under the blankets. I do love them though. It's very fun. I guess that's from all these experiences I've had over the years. Um, I'm gonna try to make up a story when I'm done with the reading of a few others. Make my own little urban legend that I'm gonna create. It's gonna be a little corny. It's gonna be campy, but it came to me yesterday when I was walking Baxter. Um, there's a woman that lives down the street, and we've lived here for years. And I've said hello to her every time or good morning, and she just looks at me with dead eyes and then doesn't say anything or smile or anything and then looks away like I've not even said anything. But she has a little obsession with leaves on her car. So we're going to make a little story about her. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to be making fun of her. She's going to be the hero of our story. So I'm not trying to make fun of her in the least, but I'm going to create a story. Hopefully it'll start a little urban legend. Let me see if I had one more I wanted to see. Give me a second to find it. I was saving these all day, so I would remember them now. I don't want to do Bigfoot. Kinda everybody knows about Bigfoot. Seem to have lost it. Give me a second. How is the sound effects going with this spooky? Is it working or is it just annoying? Sorry, I'm just trying to find something. Had it and it disappeared. This one I heard today, but I'm trying to find it again. This one was really good. All right. All right. This one is called "The Killer in the Backseat." Now, I've heard of this one, but I didn't really hear the whole thing. But today, like I said, I was doing a lot of haunted stories, which has been really fun. This one is sort of, I think this one was real. It starts with a woman leaving her job, driving on a dark street, and a car starts following her. As the car gets closer, it keeps speeding up. It keeps flashing its high beams at the person driving in the front, the woman driving in the front seat, the car. She speeds up, the car speeds up, it starts flashing her again. She slows down, the car behind her slows down, it won't pass her. It keeps flashing its lights at her. So she keeps driving. Finally, she calls the police. She calls 911 and says that I'm being followed. Please, someone to help me. So the woman on the radio says, listen, stop your car. Stops her car. And the woman goes, get out now. The lady goes, why should I do that? And as she's talking, the police show up. The dispatcher says again, get out of the car now and run to the police. She does this. Police put her in the back seat, draw their guns. The car that was following her stops. When the police officers start walking towards her car, they point at the back seat of the woman who was driving. There in the back is someone holding a knife that was trying to kill her. The car that was following her saw this, and every time the person behind flashed their high beams, the person in the car seat behind ducked down to hide. So this woman was running from what she thought was someone trying to kill her when the person she was running from was trying to save her life. Now, there are other various forms of this one where people pick up hitchhikers, but this one was the one I found today that I liked. Alright, let's try to make up our own story now. Hopefully it'll become an urban legend. We're going to call it The Witch of Besson Street. Now, it's Besson Street because I've been watching a lot of the show Grimm this last couple of weeks while I was home with my twisted knee. So we're just going to go with that. So it's in any ordinary street. We'll set it in the fall this takes place. So there was this story of a haunted house that kept being sold. People would move in, they would stay for a couple of months, put the house up for sale, then leave, and then a new family would come in, stay for a couple of months, put the house up for sale, and leave again. Everybody in the neighborhood thought this house was haunted. Nobody would ever stay. It was a beautiful house, fairly big, and it kept selling for cheap. People thought maybe there was something wrong with the house. Structurally, they didn't want to fix it, so they just kept selling the house. Just keep that in mind with the story. So we're going to add now the leaf lady. This woman kept going outside to clean leaves off her stoop, her car windows, her windshield, and she would save them. She wouldn't knock them to the ground. She would put them in a plastic bag and bring them in her house. She did this for years. People would say, hello, how are you? And she would just look at them with his sad, empty eyes and say nothing. Walk back to whatever she was doing. A group of kids one day decides, let's play a little trick on her. Let's put all the leaves we could find on our car and see what happens. Now the woman comes out. She doesn't look mad. Hold on. Sorry, there was an interruption at the house. I didn't want to disturb my thing. The woman comes back out. She sees the leaves in her car. grabs a bag and walks out and cleans the leaves again. Now, the next day, the kids come back and they add more leaves. They think it's a joke. She doesn't get mad ever. And they do this for about a week. And then they start feeling bad that they did this. So one day they go out there and they see leaves on her car and they say, let's just take them off. He comes out and starts screaming at them, stay away from my car. What are you doing to my car? They go, we're just trying to help. We felt bad. We were playing tricks. We're just taking the leaves off. He starts screaming at them again. You can't take the leaves. They're my leaves. Don't touch them. Put them back where you found them. The kids are scared and they run away. They've never heard this woman speak before. And they're confused at why she's yelling at them for trying to help her. The woman does this again. Some kids come over and ask her, can we help you? She gets mad at them and say, stay away from my car. Leave my leaves alone. Everybody starts getting scared of her. Is there something wrong? Why is she so obsessed with her leaves? It turns out that she's actually a witch. And the witch, what she does is use these leaves that have fallen but haven't touched the ground, to create a spell to keep the evil spirits out of the first house I talked about from killing all the neighbors. Apparently, evil spirit was trapped into this house, and she was there for years trying to keep it contained into the one house instead of spreading to all the other houses. But when the kids were messing with her, the spirit got angry and was released a little bit because now leaves that were put on her car that she didn't know had touched the ground. So now they weren't special. So the spirit got out and started harassing more people in other houses. Now she had to contain it again. That's why she was angry. That corny? Trying for a ghost story. It didn't come out quite as good as I wanted. Well, I'll try again next year. Like I said, it was something I was inspired to say yesterday. Alright, I think I am out of stories for now. I can't think of anything else. So, I'm going to end this stream. I hope you enjoyed this. It was kind of corny. It was kind of fun. I'm going to work on next year to get more stories. I was kind of trying not to do every popular thing that was out there that's been done 1,000 times. You know what? I have one more story. Now this one is a real story. It's the story... Hold on, Fulcrin. I got one more story. See, this is why I had everything written down, and when I lost the one page, I lost some of the thoughts. It's a story of Lake Ronkonkoma. I was supposed to be doing a not a live stream, a recording of a metal detecting around this lake. It's a very haunted lake. It has been for hundreds of years. The story goes that a Native American princess fell in love with a European settler and was forbidden to see him and killed herself by drowning herself in this lake. It's okay, Flumpy. It's my own fault. Thought of this at the last second. So, this Native American princess drowns herself in Lake Ronkonkoma. Lake Ronkonkoma is one of the largest lakes in the area. Because she did this, she still haunts the lake today. There have been sightings. There is actually a wooden sculpture of the princess on a building across the street from the lake. So what the legend goes now is every year she finds one male and drowns him. Now, at first it's like, oh wow, someone dies in a lake. But I've seen the records, and for 100 years, there has been one male that has drowned every year except for 1 year. It's usually only males, it's not females. It would be different if it was multiple people. But every year she takes one person to the lake and to be with them. I've never been in that lake. I've been terrified of going there. I've only walked on the beach of the lake once. It was very creepy. I Like I said, if it wasn't for this injury, I would have done a video about this. Fortunately, I couldn't. Um, there's been a few videos about this on YouTube I watched. As I said, every year someone, a male, only a male, never a female, drowns in the lake. So the legend goes that she grabs them and takes them down to the bottom of the lake to be with her every year. With that, I will wrap up my spooky stories from what I know. Hope you had fun, and I will probably be back on Wednesday. I don't think I'm going to be on stream tomorrow. Hope everyone has a great Halloween. I hope you get lots of candy, and I hope you have a lot of fun. Have a good night, everyone. Bye again, you guys. See you then.